Hey folks, it's David Lanjuli with fundraisingleadership.org, and I am being joined today by Michelle Molloy Dillon, who is one of our collaborators and partners in fundraising leadership. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, David. It's great to be here.
Yeah, great to see you in Boulder, Colorado. It looks like it's a sunny day there as it is here in Naples, Florida.
Yep.
So, the reason I invited you, Michelle, today is because you and I share and both have a certification. We're certified DISC practitioners, DISC. And for folks in the course and who are interested in DISC in general, we are going to give just a brief overview of what DISC is all about.
Yeah,
Okay.
DISC is a great tool for understanding what your own behavioral style is and understanding other people's too and how to interact with them. So,
Yep.
yeah, let's give
And
them a
it's
little
great.
overview.
It's great in the team environment, and that's why we're talking about it. So, um, the first thing is to really distinguish that DISC is an assessment for individuals to raise their awareness, and also especially for folks leading teams. Um, and it is a behavioral assessment. It is not a personality assessment, right?
No, this is a behavioral assessment. You'll actually get different results if you do it at different times in your life because we
Right.
use different behaviors at different times in our life.
Right. And we also, as DISC practitioners and folks who work with, as coaches, we're also both certified coaches. We work with clients with DISC, and we like to say that personality is relatively fixed. Even that isn't completely fixed, but it's more fixed than behavior. You can change your behavior like on a dime based on the environment, right?
Right, right.
Cool. And why don't you share a little bit about the platinum rule? It's a bit of a spin on the golden rule that is very appropriate for how we use DISC.
Yeah, well, the platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated, right?
Right.
And
The
so,
golden rule is like treat others how you would want to be treated. Well, that's not bad. That's like
no,
a good first approximation. Except some people don't want to be treated the way I want to be treated.
and that's
So,
really what DISC sort of showcases is like the way that I behave and the way that I want to be treated is not how everyone I'm interacting with wants to be treated. And so to have an awareness of what other people might be needing is really helpful when it comes to creating clear communication.
yeah, we're going to get into it because you and I
Hmm.
know each other's styles, and maybe we'll share with the audience how each of us adapts. I'm already adapting to you for today, you know, because just by being with you. But well, I don't. That's like the advanced jujitsu move. So we'll get to that in a moment. So yeah. So we talked a little bit about this already. Why DISC? Why would anyone want to take the assessment, debrief it with you or me, and perhaps bring us into their team, to have everyone take it and then share the results in a facilitated way, right? So why would anybody want to do that, Michelle?
Well, yeah, we have already sort of introduced this as well. I like the point 3 in this slide because it says adapt to people in a way that will reduce tension. So this really can help when prevent conflict with
Mm-hmm.
other people or work through conflict with people. That's one of the impacts of
Mm-hmm.
being aware of your own DISC style and other people's DISC styles around you as well. And just being able to be conscious of how you're communicating and what
Mm-hmm.
the impact is you want to have.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that when we do the assessment with, and you and I have worked together on this with individuals and with teams, it starts with first know thyself,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You got
Right.
to know yourself and your tendencies, your behavioral tendencies. And then, so in the leadership context, it's also true. We always start with self-awareness. And then we shift from me to we. Then we can
Yeah.
shift over to awareness of others, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
honestly, that's what's so fun about getting your own DISC assessment, because you really learn a lot about yourself. Some of it feels obvious and some of it feels like, wow, I thought everyone was that way, but actually, I guess not. I mean, that's sort of unique to me, and
you
that's
mean
nice to hear.
everyone's not like me?
Right. Right.
Damn it. I'll make them all that way. No, it's interesting. So yeah, it's just simple, and it's the other thing I like about DISC, and I've done Myers-Briggs. Many, again, in the audience may have already said, "Oh, I don't really need DISC." You know, I've got my ESTJ. I've got my 5 letters in my Myers-Briggs. But again, a Myers-Briggs is a personality assessment, and it's a bit more complicated. Like I mean, I'll just show you that this is when I did Myers-Briggs. Look at the size of this book.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, and it's very deep and hard to remember.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And it's really important to remember that DISC is not a sign of intelligence. Like, there's
Right.
actually no right or wrong answers to DISC, or the results are not
Yeah.
right or wrong. It's just unique to you. And it
Yes.
still does come with, I think it's a 38-page report. It's still very comprehensive,
Very
but not quite as
comprehensive.
much as that large manual.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, but that's actually, I really appreciate Myers-Briggs. It really is what got me into assessments, and I just find DISC more workable, especially from the communications, what it enables in communications. And so we'll just talk a little bit more about that here. So what are the 4 styles, right? So we've been talking D, I, S, and C, DISC, right? Dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientious. And you can see they just kind of fall in a quadrant here. And maybe we could help the audience distinguish, open and guarded, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yeah.
I's and the S's are?
Yeah. I mean, the I's and the S's are much more, they're much more open.
Right.
And what we mean by open is that they are a little bit more open in their communication. They're more likely to tell you how their day is and what's been going on with their family, and
Right.
just sort of in their general communication style, they tend to be more open about what's
Right.
going on.
And the D's and C's are a little bit more closed,
Yeah, just a little bit more like, this is my personal life, this is my work life. I kind of keep them separate.
Yeah.
Nothing
Guarded.
nothing
A little
wrong
bit
with
more
that. They're
guarded.
just more guarded with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about, so that's like how this works, top to bottom. How about left to right, those quadrants, the D's and the I's in terms of directness and indirectness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, and
D,
this gets into sort of comfort level with conflict, or not
yeah,
comfort level with conflict, right? So the D's and the I's have a more direct communication style.
absolutely.
And by that we mean they might just tell you what their opinion is,
Yeah,
right? Just, this is how I feel about something. And that's fine. The
yeah.
S's and the C's are a little bit more on the other side of things, where
Indirect. They're just more indirect.
they
Yeah.
might kind of explain something or go around it, right? They don't
Well,
want to step on toes
yes.
with their opinion.
Well, C's want to have all the data and facts before they respond. And S's want to make sure everybody involved is going to be, okay.
Yeah, everybody feel okay about this decision or what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. It's just a way of, I mean, these are just styles, and
Mm-hmm.
you can start to see how you might already very quickly, start to assess yourself and others in your organization just on these 4 dimensions. And that's part of the beauty of DISC.
Yeah, and I also want to point out that all of us have all 4 of these behavioral styles in us.
Absolutely.
We absolutely all exhibit these behaviors in different situations.
Yes.
But there may be 1 or 2 of these styles that we tend to go more toward in
Yes.
our current life. So we have
Definitely.
more of a comfort level in having that behavioral style and communicating in that way than in a couple of the other styles.
And it also depends on the environment. So should you choose, this is for the audience, should anyone in the audience choose to actually take the disc and debrief it, one of the things that we notice is that you'll get a report and it'll have your work style and your more natural style, and there often are differences.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Except for me, of course. My styles like almost overlap, but you have some differences. So
I have some differences.
I'm a DI. I'm a
Mhm.
capital D, small I. So I tend
Mhm.
to be very direct and somewhat open.
Mhm.
And you are share with me.
I'm a capital I and a capital S.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I tend to be quite open, and then I have a little bit of that sort of communication style, is a little bit direct and indirect. So I
yeah.
you know
Yeah,
got the
you're a
Gemini twin in me
you're a
sometimes.
flip flopper, aren't
I'm
you?
a flip flopper.
Yeah, because you live in Boulder and I live in Florida, so we both have flip flops. But you also have, I noticed, like, because when we debriefed yours, you have some C, and I think your C, you stretch into your C more in your natural style.
That's correct. So in natural style, when David talks about natural style, our natural style is when we're sort of by ourselves. We're not adapting to anybody else in the situation. That
Right.
is our natural style. It's sort of our go-to when we're sort of left to our own devices and how we operate in the world. And my natural style is an I-S with a lowercase c, lowercase conscientious. There's something about in my natural style, I like to get into the details a little bit. I like to sort of dive into having my own headspace and get some work done.
Mhm.
Um, the adapted style is the style that we are more likely to use when we're at work. We're really
Right.
adapting to lots of other people around us, and that's the style that we're much more comfortable with in our current work environment. That's the style that can really shift a lot over time depending on the situation.
Definitely. Like I know for me, I'm a high D, small I naturally, and I tone my D down in group environments. Although I can still be pretty decisive, but I will say that over time, through my own leadership development and coaching that I've received, and the coach training that we've both been involved with, I'm able to tone my D down.
Well, and that's the gift of being conscious of it, right? That you can tone it down if it's needed to be toned down
Yep,
or not, right?
exactly.
But you're in control of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're at choice. So there's the D, the I, the S, and the C. We've kind of gone through the D's and I's are more direct, S's and C's are more indirect. C's and D's are more guarded, and S's and I's are more open. And yeah, so let's talk a little bit about adaptability. We had touched on it already, and we just what do I want to say about adaptability? Adaptability is not about being inauthentic. That's
No.
not what it is.
Yeah. I
Right.
really want to make that clear. This is not about becoming somebody who you are not.
Right.
Um, this is about knowing who you are on a deeper level and understanding what is in your toolbox in different situations and
Right.
what you are, what you're able to bring out or tamp down depending on the situation.
Exactly. And so what happens is, we get in organizational life, or even in our system with you and me and Janice and Sylvia, we each have different styles. And so we can adapt to, when we have group meetings, we can make some adaptations. This in the Buddhist tradition and the Buddhist philosophical tradition, we would call this skillful means.
Mm.
Being more skillful. There's no right or wrong. There's just skillful and unskillful.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
all. So here's what the report looks like. I mean, this is just a summary of it. This is the 38-page report. Don't worry. It's actually quite informative, very visual. We just wanted to for the high C's out there. There's lots of data in there, you know, and it's a three-part format, and very detailed.
Yeah, there's charts and there's graphs and there's lists and there's color coding and there's all sorts of ways you can see
Right.
the information in there.
And if you are really inspired and you sort of take the assessment, you learn about yourself, and you want to bring it into the team, uh, the system will actually generate a team. We have several team reports that will locate you and then everyone else on your team around the quadrants of D, I, S, and C. And so you'll be able to see folks' different styles. And again, you and I, Michelle, have worked with teams that have done this, and it does help them have a better team dynamics, build
Yeah.
trust, and engage in healthy conflict.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even when looking at intact teams in terms of a holistic perspective, you begin to notice that some teams have, much more S behavioral style, or I'm just picking S out of the
Right.
example, but, than other styles. And then the light bulbs begin to go off in the team's heads, and they're thinking, well, that's why we have trouble doing this, or that's
Right.
why we can't complete that. We actually need more of that C energy, or we need more of that D energy. And so it begins to create a consciousness for teams to consciously step more into that behavioral pattern in whatever work or project they're working on.
Right. And it also goes to diversity. Look, if you have a team with a lot of S in it, it's awesome. Very comfortable.
Mhm.
And sometimes you need I's and D's, on that team to mix things up to make forward progress.
Right.
Or if you have a team, and I've worked with teams that dominated by C's and they spend a lot of time doing analysis when sometimes you got to get into action,
Mhm.
or sometimes, yeah. So it lives, sort of that conversation lives in the land of diversity, and hiring and retaining people in making sure you have a diversity, not only around ethnicity and gender and culture and so forth, but also around behavioral styles.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Anything else you wanted to say about DISC today?
It's a great tool. As David mentioned, he and I have both had our DISC assessments. We've now worked together and co-led many workshops regarding this. We use our DISC assessment styles. We consciously adapt to each other in this work that we do. So it is something that you can take. It's a great way of discovering yourself, but it's also something you can use right away in your world. And that's
Super
why it's such a great
practical.
tool. Yeah.
Super practical. I find it I've shared with you, Michelle, that, we use this in my family as a way for raising awareness and better communicating in the family. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
All
All
right,
right.
folks. Well, that's it for now, and we'll see you when we see you.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care.